whether they'll get the credit or not, it depends upon if they have the equity. So, yeah, it'll be more challenging for them. A good lawyer with organizational documentation of who they are, what company that's going to borrow the money, so who are you going to loan the money to, and then what the plan is, what are you going to use the money for, and then the other question is how are you going to pay it back. So a plan would be good to be laid out, and most of that's functioned with good financial statements. So the quality of the financial statements prepared by an accountant, depending upon the size of the credit, it would be at various levels of accounting that the accountants give, an audit, a review, or a compilation. But good quality financial statements is pretty pivotal. We forget ag is it's a very large business, and it's very sophisticated, and the management teams are very, very exposed to a lot of different areas, from the futures markets to commodities to personnel to HR to finances. So the companies themselves are very sophisticated in their own very natural, because of the size they are. And so with that, I guess we're not surprised that they're very capable managers. They're very capable in delivering the financial information that a banker wants. They're not naive at all. They're very, very astute. And so we find them very professional clients. The financial statements can be confusing to an operation who's growing and going to the next level, and that can be confusing for them. So getting an accountant that can make them feel comfortable with it and how they're going to make the transition in the short and the long run, that one keeps coming up, because nobody likes to do bookkeeping and accounting and planning and all the other stuff, but it's pivotal to do that to be successful in an operation going forward. So that one keeps coming up, it seems like, whether it's drought or whether it's losing money in cattle, or the financials are the biggest questions from the producers, I think. You know, I think the point of financing, the biggest one is a relationship business and communication. And it's not a can I have and oh I got it, it's what you can do together. And so the relationship is very pivotal in any kind of business transaction, and especially in a lender-customer relationship in the ag industry. It just makes sense. It's much more, it's easier, it's much more comfortable, works better that way, and usually both sides gain a lot out of it. Not only a friendship, but business success. Keep him informed about not only the financial statements and the borrowing basis, but the other thing is to ask questions. What of the client asking his banker, what are you looking for? How does this all work? I guess the other thing is it's really a simple business. It should be anyway. And if it's complex, and I don't mean this to pick on any other banker, but if the other banker says, the examiners made me do it, I'd get a different banker, because the banker ought to be able to explain to that producer anything that he asks for. I think you ought to get better financial statements. Why? I think you ought to fill out a borrowing base. Why? My guys are going to come out and inspect your operation. Well, why? And it ought to make sense. It's fairly simple. It's fairly straightforward. And so being on top of the table is a two-way street, not only from the customer to the banker, but from the banker to the customer. So.